In July of 2020, I made a deal with my brother. I'd watch My Hero Academia if he watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Variants. I watched the first episode and almost cried when the little broccoli boy was crying because he didn't have a quirk and just wanted to achieve his dreams. Seeing this poor boy getting bullied by everyone around him and the whole world being against him got to me as someone who's been bullied for a long time for being different. So in the world of My Hero Academia, 80% of the population have superhuman abilities called quirks, which can be as simple as making the objects you touch weightless, or as complicated as being able to manifest animal body parts on your body depending on what you eat. And our main character, Izuku Midoriya, is part of the 20% of the population that is quirkless and gets bullied his whole life for it, which is weird. It's more common to be quirkless in this world than finding a shiny in Pokemon, even in Dynamax Dens with Shiny Charm. So 20 out of 100 people are quirkless. Why is Deku getting crapped on so hard? Ever since I started watching the show, Deku has been my favorite character. Despite all the negativity he's faced with, he's always so positive and kind. I think that's actually a trend with characters I like. He's also so selfless to a point where it's second nature for him, which is actually shown to be one of his greatest flaws. Like Marinette from Miraculous Ladybug, Deku has a lot of varying opinions on him, with some people being obsessed with the little bean, and others complaining he cries too much and is boring compared to other characters in the show. But not only is Deku my favorite character, in my opinion, he's actually one of the most inspirational characters in media. In My Hero, being quirkless is the equivalent of being disabled, and seeing Midoriya stand against the odds and still try to be a hero is really inspiring. After a couple episodes of the show, Deku actually receives a quirk from the #1 hero All Might, which in the real world would be the equivalent of a person born without an arm suddenly growing an arm. People complain that, oh, Deku should have been a quirkless hero, and sure, it might have been cool to see that happen with the help of support items, but I think the story works very well, and him being quirkless still affects him even after receiving One for All. He has to learn how to use the quirk and catch up to his classmates who have had quirks their whole lives and know how to use them. Now, I've seen people complain about Deku on the internet saying that he's just gifted or didn't have to work hard. I get that those people are either trolls or haven't watched the show, or maybe both, I don't know. But I want to defend this anyway, because not only is Deku one of the hardest working characters in media, but like I stated before, I think he's one of the most inspirational characters in media. Might be a bit of a bold statement, especially because I don't consume as much media as many other people, but hear me out. Deku meeting All Might and inheriting his quirk was only the beginning to his journey. Even before inheriting the quirk, he had to work out very vigorously for 10 whole months just to inherit the quirk. And even afterwards, he still had to keep making his body physically stronger to even handle the quirk. He made it into UA by the skin of his teeth with one heroic act last minute. And even after entering the school, he got last place in the quirk apprehension test, so he had a long way to go before becoming the world's greatest hero. As the series progresses, he learns how to use his quirk with minimal damage to his body, eventually mastering full cowling, which allowed him to use his quirk without breaking a bone. After wrecking his arms in the training camp arc, he had to adapt his fighting style to involve kicks. Then he learned to incorporate his fingers to make huge air blasts for long-range combat, all while progressively getting his body stronger to be able to handle more percentages of One for All's power. During the joint training arc, not only did he unlock the 5th user of One for All's quirk, he learned he was about to unlock 5 more quirks on top of that. He had to adapt, learn how to control Black Whip, and prepare to learn these quirks on the fly. Throughout his whole journey, Deku kept getting knocked down. And yet, he kept standing back up. He learned how to improve, and he worked hard to get to where he is at this point in the show/manga. No spoilers for the manga here, by the way, I promise. My point is, Deku's journey is defined by the hard work he put into gaining the quirk and making it his own. Like I mentioned earlier, Deku is the equivalent of a disabled person in the show. So him going from zero to hero is really inspirational to anyone, especially a disabled person. As someone who has autism and ADHD, among other mental disorders that make life for me more difficult than a normal person, seeing Deku, someone considered disabled in this universe, work so hard for his dreams and fight so hard for the future he believes in, it's inspirational to me. His attitude inspires not just his classmates, but the people watching the show. Watching him makes me believe that I'll achieve my dreams one day, and I'll be happy. It gives me hope for the future, as cheesy as that sounds. I'm so glad my brother convinced me to watch My Hero because the show is so much fun and really inspiring. In fact, I got so obsessed, I passed where my brother was in the show and got ahead of him. And if you're wondering, he still hasn't finished Reigns. I think he's at like episode 111. I feel like a lot of people are hard on Deku. For those complaining he cries too much, as a former crybaby and victim of bullying, when you get crapped on your whole life, yeah, you're gonna be a bit emotional. Heck, the fact that Deku so freely shows his emotions is, I think, a good thing. It shows boys that it's okay to cry and feel your feelings. It's something that past generations of boys were told to repress. Now, I might be going a bit overboard to defend him, but I think that fandom is a bit harsh on him sometimes. And Deku's also the only character that I can admit that I simp for. I mean, I squeal sometimes when he smiles or does something adorable on screen, and I have a lot of Deku merch, so I may have a bit of a problem. But if this video proves one thing, it's that I'm justified in my opinion. Hopefully, I can convince at least one person to like Deku more than before and see my point of view. Let me know your opinion of Deku in the comments below, or just who your favorite My Hero character is. This is Queen of Penguins saying peace out and happy belated Pride Month!